Let's now get into the news, man. Let's now begin and talk about this. So yesterday, basically right as we were finishing up the show, massive news came out in the Hollywood trades. Now, I always tell you guys, when something comes out in the Hollywood trades, it's a big deal, right? It's a super big deal. They have not only do they have incredible track record and incredible sources, but they also have a direct relationship with the studios. So if anything ever happens, if they ever said anything that was out of pocket or reported something that was incorrect, the studio could reach out to them and they would correct it, like basically immediately. And we've seen that happen before too with the Hollywood trades. So Hollywood trades, big deal. And therefore, the news that was released yesterday made massive waves, okay? We tend to follow a lot of leakers and scoopers and insiders and sort of smaller accounts. Sometimes they will say absolutely crazy things, and it won't get picked up on or go big as far as searches and being spread around the internet. But when the Hollywood trades say something, it usually does. It just kind of like, it's taken a little bit more seriously, and therefore, like, a lot more people are like, yo, this is, like, actually news. Like, holy shit, right? And so what is the news? Well, it's such a weird piece that came out, but essentially Deadline reported that Marvel Studios was hitting the pause button on 3 different shows. Okay? 3 different shows. The first one is Strange Academy. Now, we'll talk more about all of these different shows. Man, buckle up, man. We got a lot to get into today, man. We're going to talk about all the shows. No stone will be left unturned today, okay? But just for the sake of understanding the story, it was Strange Academy, which was said to be like a Harry Potter-esque thing with Wong potentially at the center of it. A lot of young sorcerers, magical Harry Potter land, Disney Plus show. The other show was Nova. And we've been hearing so much about Nova recently. It's wild as hell. I mean, you've had leaks from My Time to Shine. You've had leaks from Daniel RPK. You've had even stuff said by Jeff Snyder. You've had Brad Winderbaum dropping teases and hints and speaking to Brandon Davis about it. And the whole context of those conversations is usually Brandon has heard some rumors and whatnot, because we're all fans. We're all living in this Marvel space. And then he'll bring stuff up to Brad. And so, in my opinion, I think the most shocking part of this is Nova, because so many of us felt like it was actually happening. It had picked up steam, and it was so close to happening. Okay, so we're going to talk more about that, but there's also another show here that's really weird called Terror Incorporated. I have zero clue, zero fucking idea what Terror Incorporated could be, but it's basically just an unannounced show that we had never heard about. Seems like it would have been something related to the horror or the supernatural side of the MCU, and it was going to be a Disney Plus show. So what that means is that Deadline's big article yesterday was kind of like a press release that was telling us, the fans, that 3 different shows that they had never officially announced were being paused. And look, I think it's weird, right? I saw on the Hot Mic podcast yesterday, I saw Jeff Snyder was saying this is really weird. I agree. I think it's weird as hell. Particularly because of Nova and how much the scoopers were scooping when it came to Nova. Like, look, let me show you a couple of things here, right? This is fascinating. We had My Time to Shine putting out like damn near all full-ass plot leaks about the show. Right? Daniel talking about casting, talking about the plot, Richard Rider, Young Nova's Annihilus, right? You had so many people talking about it, and then check this out. Now that the news dropped yesterday, you've got the scoopers saying even more about this show. So check this out. My Time to Shine here says, now that it's on pause, but not canceled, I can reveal that the role Henry Cavill was being considered for was Annihilus. And this is in response to a scoop she had just 5 days ago about Henry Cavill being eyed for a role in the Nova show. I thought maybe he'd be Richard Rider, and that could be cool. She said Annihilus, right? Wild. So check this out. Charles Murphy says here, man, how in the hell can you just continue to leave Nova on the back burner? They had a story and a showrunner. So like, dude, that's wild as hell. He's saying they literally had a story and they had a showrunner for this thing. Okay? And then Daniel just this morning said Marvel Studios wanted Austin Butler. Now, Daniel came out and clarified this. An Austin Butler type. This was probably another casting grid. And it was something like, we're looking for an Austin Butler type for this young, leading role in this Marvel show, et cetera, et cetera. So it technically wasn't Austin Butler. I just want to put that out there because everybody's misinterpreting what Daniel said. I just want to set the record straight so you guys know what it is. But think about this. These are three massive scoopers that had all been talking about the show at great lengths up until now. And now they're talking about it even more and kind of flagrantly, right? So what's weird about this situation is it feels like this has something to do with the scoopers, in my opinion. So there's one of two ways that this could be going down. Number one, Marvel Studios could be trying to make the scoopers look bad, right? Because the scoopers have been talking so much about Nova in particular, but there was also a lot of stuff being said about Strange Academy and all that. So if Marvel can turn around and be like, yeah, we're hitting pause on all of this stuff, it kind of makes the scoopers look bad. The problem with that, though, is all of the scoopers kind of look good because they were the only ones talking about these projects in general. Like, Marvel never officially announced any of these things. So I think it's kind of silly. If they're doing this to try to make the scoopers look bad, I don't think it's really working the way that they intended, but I could see the possible intent behind it. The other thing that could be happening here is that Marvel is really trying to signal to us, the fans, and really to like some of the most hardcore Marvel fans that are out there, that the track or the narrative that the scoopers had been spreading is false. It has changed, right? So either way you slice it, it feels like this is connected to the scoopers and the insiders in some way. And it's either Marvel trying to diminish them, or it's Marvel addressing the very narratives that they are creating within the fan base. It's quite interesting to me that this happened, and it seems really weird, okay? Now, another aspect to this, and this is from what I heard, right? Because I spoke to some people, I spoke to some insiders, I spoke to some leakers, I spoke to some scoopers. What they are saying is that this is just an adjustment because Marvel realized that their plan with the MCU shows was bad, and they are rethinking it. And that's really interesting. So if you're asking for like, what's the official line from like insiders, what are they saying this is? That's what they're saying. Like, they're saying the plan was bad, it was confusing, it didn't make sense, and they're adjusting their overall plan again. And I would have to ask you, right? Like, if that's actually what's happening, which I think there's truth in it. If that's what's happening, who is they? Who is the they that is rethinking this, right? Well, I mean, obviously it's Kevin Feige, Brad Winderbaum, the head of Marvel Television, et cetera, et cetera. But is it also potentially new people? And when I say new people, they're not really new, but is it the Russos? Is it the Russos? Because as we're going to get to later on, the rumors of what they are actually developing now are connected to the X-Men. And it is very possible that the Russos are somewhat involved in that, because a lot of those rumors we heard that the Russo brothers were helping out with the X-Men stuff, those appear to be true. That appears to be real. So the Russos, in some way, shape, or form, are going to be helping Marvel past Secret Wars, and they're helping plan and organize the X-Men saga. Okay, but we'll talk more about the X-Men show. We'll talk about, more about like where this is all going. But that's basically what the story is. So if I had to like encapsulate it, or you were like, yo, what's the breaking news? The breaking news is Marvel Studios essentially has hit the pause button on production of 3 big shows. One of them being Nova, one of them being Strange Academy, one of them being Terror Inc. All of a sudden, leaks and scoopers are coming out of the woodwork with details about Nova, indicating that it was maybe the closest one to actually shooting, had a story, had a showrunner, was literally casting and all these different things. It was in a stage of development that made it very close to being greenlit. Well, guess what? It's not greenlit. Not happening. Not anytime soon. That's the reality of the situation. These shows, none of them are happening anytime soon. And the official line as to why from insiders is that Marvel thought the plan they had with the television was whack, and they realized it wouldn't work, so they're adjusting again. Thanks for watching, and if you like this clip, smash a like on the actual video and subscribe to this channel. That way more of these clips get into your feed. I've also linked the full episode below if you want to check out the entire thing, including the Q&A we do with fans. You can also watch this show live. We do it live Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And you can also find all of my content, including the videos I put on my main YouTube channel, on the podcast feed.